Hello everyone and welcome to my spoiler discussion of The Batman. I already did a spoiler-free review, so if you're worried about spoilers, you can watch that, but there's your warning because I will be spoiling the movie, so leave now if you have not seen the movie. Anyways, let's talk about it. So, I saw it on March 1st at the fan event, and I'm going to see it again this Tuesday. I couldn't get tickets again for this weekend because it's just all booked up. Everyone's seeing this movie. But yeah, I've only seen it once, but I have had more time to think about it, and I like it even more. Like, I really liked it coming out of the theater, but the more I've thought about it, the more like, man, that movie was really good. I'm excited to see it again and see what I notice more and what I think of after I see it a second time. But for the time being, it's really good. I still wouldn't change it in my ranking of Batman films, which is, I think it's the third best in terms of I like Dark Knight and Under the Red Hood better, but that's not saying anything bad about about this movie because those movies are amazing. This movie is great as well. One of the things I really love about this movie is how comic accurate Batman is. Like, he's an amalgamation of different versions of Batmans we've had, but Batman himself is very comic accurate in the way he acts, and I love it. I also love how this is probably the most heroic Batman we've had on the big screen in terms of, I guess, like, the public eye, because that's one of the great things about this movie is at the end, Batman is very public in his helping people, and people believe in him. Like, you know, at the end of Dark Knight, he had to be a martyr because of everything that happened with Harvey Dent, but in this, he's allowed to be a hero in the eyes of the people. It's really good. Like, I love that aspect. I love being, like, Batman doesn't have to be, like, dark and brooding and have the people hate him. You know, it's the criminals that are supposed to fear him. Like, there's this misconception with some people that write Batman where they feel like everyone's afraid of Batman, even the innocents of Gotham, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And this movie shows that, like, if you're an evildoer in Gotham, you are going to be scared of Batman. But if you're just a citizen of Batman, he's someone that, you know, you should look to. And I was really happy about that. They nailed that in this movie. That at the end, when he's helping everyone after the whole flood happens, that was awesome. Also, a little thing that I loved is how much Batman uses the grapple in this movie. I just thought that was cool, because Batman, you know, he's gonna be using the grapple a lot, and we've seen it in other movies, but in this, he uses it a lot, and it was great, because, you know, that's what he does. He's Batman, so seeing him use the grapple a lot was cool. I loved him and Jim's relationship. That part in the GCPD where Jim pushes everyone else out and tells Batman to punch him was so good. I love that. Him and Jim Gordon had such great chemistry, and they were so great together. And that part in particular, I really liked it. And I loved how they worked together, and seeing them two just be realizing in the movie that, yeah, we have to trust just each other. Like, Batman basically already knew that, but Jim didn't. Like, Jim had worked with these guys to take down Maroni. So he thought, you know, oh, these guys wouldn't bust this huge, like, the biggest drug bust in Gotham City history, and GCPD history. You know, they wouldn't do that if they were corrupt, and then Batman exposes them, and Gordon's like, yeah, I can only trust this guy in a bat costume. I really like seeing that. I thought that was fun. Let's talk about the Joker real fast, because that's what happened at the end. I was bummed out that the Joker showed up. Like, that doesn't take anything away from this movie at all. It's just for the future. I'm like, man, do we really need another Joker this soon? Like, we've got Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix. Like, those guys just happened pretty recently, and now we got another one. Why we don't need another one. I mean, the actor that they got does great in everything he's in, but I was hoping for maybe someone a bit more physical. Like, we just had, I was so happy they chose Riddler for this, because we hadn't seen Riddler in a while, and I really liked the way Riddler was done in this movie, the way he was handled. But I was like, maybe we could get a more physical villain, like, as the main villain. Because, like, Ra's was kind of a physical villain in Batman Begins, but not really. And then Joker obviously isn't really a physical villain. And then Dark Knight Rises, Bane isn't actually the main villain. Like, and that the way Bane was handled was pretty stupid in that movie, in my opinion. So I was hoping, like, maybe we could get someone, like, a bit more physical as, like, the main villain, like Prometheus or something. I thought that could be cool. But instead it's like Joker. That doesn't necessarily mean the next movie's going to be Joker, but, you know, he's teased. Court of Owls would also be really cool, because that'd be a great way to add some people that could challenge Batman physically, because in this, you know, he does get like knocked out twice by getting shot, but there's no one that can really challenge him in hand-to-hand combat in this movie. Which was fine, no problems with that in this movie, but I'm talking about, like, for the future, that's something that I would like to see, and I think, like, Prometheus or Court of Owls would be a good way to do that, but we got Joker teased. That didn't really, I know a lot of people probably are excited about that. To me, I was like, man, do we need another Joker? But it's the same as when you get a new writer on the comics. Every time you get a new comic book writer on the Batman series, they always bring Joker in immediately, because everyone wants to tell their Joker story. And it goes for the same thing with people making these movies. Like, you get a new director, they're just like, oh, this is my time to make my Joker. So And I guess that's how it is. I'm excited to see what Matt Reeves does with Joker, but man, I would have much preferred basically anyone else. But yeah, it is what it is. Now let's talk about Riddler. I thought Riddler was done really well in this movie. He does kind of take a backseat at times, especially because they focused on the mob aspect of it for a bit. There's like a part where they're just like, we're going to completely forget about Riddler, and then they bring him back. But I thought Riddler was done well. The only complaint I have with Riddler in this movie, well, was one, which is a minor complaint, was I do wish he would have had the suit at some point. Like, the whole Zodiac Killer thing didn't do it for me. I think a clean-looking Riddler is best Riddler. I think that is way more like scary to me, a guy that can do what he does while dressing like that. You wouldn't think that, but a guy that dresses like the Zodiac Killer, you're like, yeah, no dip, that's the guy that did it. But a guy that dresses like clean comic book Riddler in that suit, that like sort of turns it on its head a little bit. It's like, it's this really smart guy dressed in that clean suit, and then he's doing these barbaric acts. It's like, I like that sort of dynamic there, but that's just a minor complaint, nothing that big. One of my other complaint with Riddler was I didn't like how he got his goons. The fact that it was like basically a 4chan type deal I thought was really stupid. The humor in this movie is done really well. It's, for the most part, it's done really well, and it's not really stuff that's humor in the movie, but it's kind of humor to the audience. Like, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, that's funny. But if you're in the world, it's not like you're going to laugh. Unlike a lot of MCU humor where it's funny watching it, also if you're in the world, you'd probably be laughing too. Like, even people like play it off making faces and stuff. This is different. It was done much more subtly, and I liked it. But when I thought it was stupid when they open his laptop and they go to the website and he's like, oh, hey guys, thanks for all the support, blah, blah, blah. I was like, why'd you gotta do that? That part was stupid, and I thought him getting his goons that way was stupid. I felt like he could have gotten some henchmen some other way, like any other way. That part, I was like, But other than that, I liked Riddler, and I can't remember his name, Paul Dano, I think that's his name. He did a great job, but that part I didn't really like. But like I said in my spoiler-free review, when he's when Batman is talking to him in Arkham Asylum, 'cause it's not really interrogation because there's glass in between. When he's talking to him in Arkham Asylum, that is my favorite scene in the movie. My runner-up favorite scene is when the Batmobile is introduced. I had the biggest smile on my face when the Batmobile lights up, when they're outside, like, the drug bust. Oh my goodness, dude. I had the biggest smile on my face. The soundtrack playing, I was like, yes! Let's talk about the soundtrack as well, because the main theme is great in this, but you're only going to remember 3 tracks. This is something that me and the people I saw the movie with were talking about. Like, the main theme that's, like, played in all the trailers is great, and they use it a lot in this movie, maybe a little too much. They use the Nirvana song that they use in the trailer, which is great, and they use the I know it as the Hitman song, but it's like Ave Maria or whatever. They use those 3 songs a lot in this movie, and they're great, but that's all you'll remember. And the rest of the soundtrack, maybe it's good, I just don't remember it. I feel like it wasn't implemented well enough for me to really remember it. But those 3 tracks are great, but they're used a lot. Now let's go back to Riddler real fast. Something that I really liked about this movie was the fact that no one really won. Batman and Riddler both had small victories, but neither of them really won. Like, Riddler killed pretty much all the corrupt people he wanted to. He wasn't able to kill the new mayor like he wanted to, though. But he did, flood Gotham, and that caused a lot of damage to Gotham, killed a lot of people. But at the same time, he forced Batman out into the open, and he caused him to become a symbol for the city that people look to and look up to. And the people of Gotham trust Batman now. So it's one of those things where a lot of people died. Riddler killed a lot of people that he wanted to. He caused a lot of fear. Those are some wins for Riddler. He didn't kill. Batman was able to save the new mayor that's going to help enact some change in Gotham, and also Batman is now a symbol for the city. It was like neither of them got the big dub. Neither of them won the war, but they both won little battles. I thought that was cool. It was no like definitive like who won. It's kind of like that's one of the cool things about Dark Knight. At the end of Dark Knight, you're like, no one won here. Like, the Joker kind of won. You're like, no one really won here, but the Joker kind of did because he ruined Harvey Dent. And it's like, wow, you're not used to seeing that in comic book movies. And same thing here. It's like, no one really won. And I like that because you don't get that often. So that was cool. Something that's definitely going to vary for each person that sees this movie is what you think of like the sort of twists in this movie. I saw everything coming, not necessarily because I'm like 200 IQ, I'm not, but because I have read a lot of Batman comics. So I don't put this as a gripe against the movie because they followed the comics a lot. So I'm not going to say that, oh, the movie was too predictable because I read Batman comics. That'd be dumb. It's not a complaint against the movie. It's just I feel like more people that haven't read the comics might appreciate some of the more plot twists, like plot elements, than I did, because I liked seeing it. But it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. Like, I remember talking with someone I went with, talking about how, like, I had seen some things coming, and he hadn't necessarily seen some of those things coming. But it was because, oh, I've read all of the Earth 1 series. I've read Long Halloween and Dark Victory, like, the things that inspired this movie. So, yeah, that's not a negative. It's just something that, like, I wanted to address in this video. That, like, yeah, nothing really threw me for a loop in this, but it's not, again, that's not a negative. It's just I wanted to say that because that's how I felt coming out of the theater. I was like, it was cool that they did that, but nothing in the movie really threw me for a loop. There was nothing that was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Now, something I want to address from my previous video was, in it, I criticized how Bruce Wayne is in this movie, how he acts, because he acts the exact same as Batman, and a lot of the comments were defending it, saying that, oh, that was done on purpose, and Bruce doesn't want to be, or Batman doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne right now, he just wants to be Batman, and he doesn't care about Bruce Wayne. Let me say this. In the movie, it is made clear that he wants to keep his secret identity a secret. It is also made clear that he is a very smart man. Someone that wants to keep their secret identity a secret and is also very smart would not be so dumb as to act the exact same in and out of costume. It does not make sense at all. So that's one thing where, like, sorry comments, I 100% disagree with you guys there. That makes no sense. I saw some other people being like, well, he was emotional. Don't care. Does not make sense still. Like, that Bruce is too smart for that. Year 1 Batman even knew this. I know this is different. You know, this is a different interpretation of the character. It's not Year 1 Batman. It's Year 2 Batman. But still, like, 2 years into it, and he acts the exact same as Batman and Bruce. Because when Riddler, when he thinks Riddler's piecing it together and knows he's Bruce Wayne, he's like, oh crap, he knows. Oh crap, he knows. So obviously he wants to keep his secret identity. But then he acts the exact same. So again, it's not a big negative, but it is something that I was like, that was kind of dumb. Like, I understand him not having the persona perfected. I understand him not being that Bruce Wayne that we know and love. But he should just act a little different. He doesn't act different at all. He acts the exact same. And he's been Batman for 2 years, and not only that, but he's been thinking about being Batman prior to that. You know, that's how Batman works. He thinks about it prior to... It's not just one day he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be Batman. He goes through all the training and everything. He thinks about what he's going to do. He's been setting this up. You know, he would have thought of the secret identity component and what he would need to do there. But in this, he's just like, guess I'll act the exact same. So that was something that I disagree with the people that were commenting on that. Yes, they did it on purpose. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean it makes sense. That's one of the creative choices in this movie that I disagreed with. Yes, he's early on in his career, and he doesn't necessarily care about bringing Bruce Wayne, but he does want to keep the secret identity. He would have thought to make himself act different. Again, not perfected the persona, not be the Bruce that we love, but he would act different in some way. The only other thing I really have to say about this movie is, man, I forgot that John Turturro's an actual good actor. He, like, plays a lot of silly, dumb roles in movies, like what Transformers did to him. But here as Carmine Falcone, he did great. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot this guy can act and is a good actor. I forgot about that. And he was great as Carmine. He did so good. Like, it blew me away because I'm like, yeah, this guy's a good actor. Forgot about that. Colin Farrell, like I said, my original review, did great. Zoe Kravitz was fantastic as Selena Kyle. I really liked her Catwoman. And seeing like what her motivations were, and it was very clear why she was doing what she was doing. I thought that was great. There's something else I want. Oh, the mayor at the end was a complete dumbass. That made no sense. Where they're like telling her we need to get you out of here. She's like, no, it's time. Someone did the right thing. So it's like the right thing is going to the podium and getting shot. You make no sense. I wanted her to die because of that. I was like, I hope this dumbass gets shot in the face. Like, even if you don't get shot there, what does going to the podium and saying anything while people are drowning do? It does nothing. Like, it's not like she's actually doing anything there. It's all for show. She's not actually doing anything useful or helpful there. She's just endangering more people. That part I was like, this dumb mayor, I hope she dies. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Batman. I'm going to see it again, like I said, a second time this upcoming Tuesday, which is, what is that, March 8th. I'll see it again, and maybe we'll do a Nerd Talk podcast on it once we've seen it a second time. We'll see, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Batman if you've seen it, and I'll see you guys later.